Hello everyone, welcome to the Jargus Ranger Review. This time we'll be looking at the 20th episode of Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel, Doom Signal. Now the beginning of our episode is at Summer Cove High, because apparently every event is held there or hosted by them for some reason. And auditions being made for a new TV show. No one knows what it is or who this supposedly famous producer is, but there's a long line, and amongst our Rangers, Haley is trying out for it. She intends to reenact a scene from Romeo and Juliet, where Juliet poisons herself, but she has no props and no one to act beside her. That's because Calvin is an hour late, and he finally shows up right before she's called there, and it's revealed that he had engine trouble and had to get that fixed before he could come. The problem is, with all that trouble he ended up leaving her props for her performance right at the front door, so she's left to perform her 10 seconds of drama without it. She seems pretty confident anyway. But right after her is Victor, Vincent, and Monty, who apparently intended to do a serious doctor and patient scene, and are actually dressed to look the part. But of course, they're bumbling fools and they end up hurting each other repeatedly, to the amusement of everyone else. And the producer says that they're a couple of clowns, which is exactly what he's looking for, and everyone else can go home. So that's to everyone's astonishment, especially Haley's. She asks if her performance was any good. Calvin hesitates until she insists that he told her what he really thinks, and he says that, Romeo and Juliet probably was not the best selection to do for this audition. And she is very visibly annoyed by that. So a few minutes later, they're walking outside, and Calvin's getting snacks and stuff for everyone, and got Haley her favorite. And then Preston drops a line saying his cousin Zach is having a birthday party in Angel Grove. Could he somehow be related to Zach from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? We do not know, and we do not have time to ponder it, because immediately after that they see Victor and Monty with the producer and his assistants, who turn out to be a Monster of the Week Gorox, along with 2 Bashabots. It was a trap all along, and the 2 get taken away. Of course, the Rangers go right up there and fight him, and he is putting up a very good fight, pretty swift and can hit hard. And to make matters even worse, Brax, who the Rangers could never rightfully defeat, ends up to try and help, but before they even fight, they immediately get gigantified. At which point they summon the Blaze Megazord as well as the Ninja Steel Megazord to fight them together. And they quickly make the Ninja Steel Ultra Zord out of that. And the Rangers don't hesitate to use their full force of the finishing move right away. But Brax just dodges it and uses Gorax as a shield. So much for him, he gets destroyed right away. And then Brax begins attacking, and with one blast it already puts the Zords in critical state. So the Rangers decide to not mess around. They make the Blaze Ultra Zord and put Sarah and Levi inside the regular Ninja Steel Megazord. And they attack together with the finishing move. And this instantly destroys Brax. I'll tell my opinion on it after I'm done with this synopsis. Now, in the aftermath, while they're walking and talking, Calvin talks to Haley, and she says, well, since there was a monster and Victor and Monty got kidnapped, I guess it is a good thing that you didn't pass your audition. And they get into an argument because her feelings are hurt that his opinion of her performance wasn't what she expected it to be, and how he let her down. And he responds by saying, well, he didn't know he was having engine trouble, which is true. That's just one of the sudden things that you can't predict, which is understandable. I mean, you can't predict something like that. But really, the boy should have remembered the props. Even though it would not have helped her this time, he still should have remembered them. And he tells her straight up that you asked for my honest opinion, so I gave it. And if you can accept it, then you don't really know me very well. And Haley says if he can't see how he is hurting her feelings, then he doesn't know her as well as they thought. So they decide to get some space from each other. I'll get back to that in a minute as well. After that, the Rangers split up a little, and Sarah talks to Haley, and they have a little girl talking. She says that she talked to some of the other guys, and she agrees with him that her performance was a little over the top. Clearly not suited for what this producer was looking for. So then Haley realizes that Calvin was right about what he was saying. She just didn't want to hear it, because in a way she was looking down on Victor and Monty as well. So now after realizing what a fool she has been, she tries to call Calvin, but he's still in a bad mood about things, so he rejects her call. When the other Rangers tried to go inside school, it's all locked and there's Bashabots inside. And Hastings opens the door and she claims that school is closed, everyone must go home and watch television. And Red Dot contacts the Rangers and explains why. There's a broadcast signal going all across the planet that's hijacking every TV station, and it's showing Victor and Monty as clowns, dodging traps and attacks on the Galaxy Warrior stage, and then dressing clowns because Badana forced them to dress that way. This was Odious' plan all along, to hypnotize everyone this way, which is why she kidnapped Mick to make the satellite broadcast for her. And then they see Odious is coming out the door, so they hide in the bushes nearby. And she, along with Badana and hypnotized Mick, gloat about how they plan to use the humans as an expendable army, because they may not be strong, but there's a lot of them. And with at least 3 billion of them under her control, it'll be easy to do a raid across the universe and take control of it. And apparently there's only phase 1 of her plan. Phase 2, we don't know, it's to be continued. And during this, Calvin sees a TV in a shop window that's also displaying it. So yeah, obviously he's gonna get hypnotized as well. And that's where we end off. This episode is a mixed bag. First of all, Victor and Monty are kind of abused, because they made a serious, honest effort to pass this audition, and they only did it through their own clumsiness. And then they get put in a life-threatening situation where they're constantly running away, only for other people's amusement, especially the monster. I know I've compared them to Bulk and Skull, but Bulk and Skull get more respect than this. Really, the only time Bulk and Skull really get screwed over by the villains is when they were being jerks earlier in the episode. But that wasn't the case this time. This time they were just dragged into a situation when they thought they were doing good. I said this several times before, but they really mishandled these characters. They tried to make them one note, and they tried to give them a little bit of complexity, but then they have everyone else looking down on them. Even one of our Rangers is looking down on them right now. Speaking of our Ranger drama, let's talk about Haley and Calvin. First of all, that argument was so petty. For any acting performer, they're going to have a good showing and a bad showing. And sometimes what they present is not what the person in charge is looking for. The thing is, the only way to grow and improve yourself is to have an idea of what you weren't the best at to begin with. And Calvin even attempted to be diplomatic and say it very nicely and not say it was over the top the way Sarah did. The problem is, her pride was too large to accept anything other than hearing that she was great and perfect. Honestly, I would have loved to see this much earlier in the season, and to have Calvin's mechanic episode to be the culmination of his character. Because really, they semi-broke up simply because she could not handle hearing criticism from anybody. And it wasn't until hearing a similar message from neutral third party that she came to accept that. And she basically vilified her boyfriend, who was trying to be supportive even after the fact. A little clumsy with the way he said it, but he was trying to make amends. I mean, he's not entirely without fault here either, because he's the one that brought the subject back up to begin with, and saying that she shouldn't be mad at him. So he wasn't entirely supportive himself, especially since he forgot the props. Even though they would have been useless this time, he really should not have forgotten them. That's all his fault. And he was a bit arrogant about it when he tried to eschew any blame from himself. Honestly, I believe he should have just kept his mouth shut. Because the two of them have been pretty much the two most mature members of the team. Aside from Brody, who really doesn't have any character development at all. Most of what he's doing is handling the loss of his father and brother, which get resolved, and since then, he never really changes any. He stays the same. Oh yes, speaking of his father, he actually drops off Brody and Levi to this audition, and that's the last we've seen of him, and the only we've seen of him this entire season. What has he been doing since the last episode of playing Ninja Steel? Was he just at home being a regular dad? Was he helping with the ninja training any? We don't know, and we possibly may never know. Now on to the action parts. The fight with Brax and Gorax took up almost half the episode, and nothing happened. I mean, the instant Brax shows up, he gets gigantified. And they barely fought him with the Megazords, and he gets defeated almost instantly, which is really disappointing, because ever since his first appearance, he has been shown to be nothing but this overwhelming force of extreme talent, speed, and power. I mean, even when he was trapped in the barrier, he was still able to damage Brody's Power Star. Like, the Rangers were just unable to really scratch him. And then with the Megazord fight, he's defeated with one blow with no effort. But really 2 attacks at once. And that really disappointed me. I think he should have had a much more climactic battle than that. It's obviously they were just rushing the story for this, and they just need to get rid of him as quickly as possible. Though it was a bit funny to see Badana weeping for the loss of his, self. Now, as I just said, it was a little rushed. And this is true because almost the entirety of the overarching plot is handled in just a couple scenes. One of them at the very, very end of the episode. I mean, they crammed in the last couple episodes Tynemon's final moments, this huge thing with Haley and Calvin, this the last encounter with Brax as well as a new monster at the same time, and snucking in her mind control plan, and a quick comment that they're starting with an army of mind control slaves. I think they're trying to do too much at once without giving the stories time to breathe. How intense Brax was seen as an opposing threat, he was taken down like any other monster, maybe even more pathetically than that. And even our Monster of the Week didn't even get 8 minutes of screen time. Hell, maybe not even 6. That's how quickly they got rid of him. So it has a good moments. The drama scene really forced. I mean, the fighting was pretty good when they were still on the ground, I have to admit. But everything seemed like it was just going to autopilot ever since they started the Megazord fight. I mean, you have Victor and Monty just being used as tools, and then that's it. They just tried to do everything at once without really developing it very well. And obviously, I feel like the next episode is going to have Haley trying to save Calvin from his mind control. I mean, it just seems obvious. And who knows, maybe Monty and Victor will be actual heroes this time, and not accidental escapees from the alien. But we'll know when we get around to that. Overall, this episode gets a C+ for me. It had a few good elements, but a lot of things that just didn't work out very well. So that's all for this time. This has been Jargus. Thanks for watching. Until the next episode, let the power protect you.